Fellow Endmins, I'm here today to spread the good word on Estella for two reasons. First, I love being a hipster, and there's really no better time than gacha launch to make unusual units work. Second, look at this cutie. I just couldn't say no. Let's have some combat footage while I talk about Estella's kit, shall we? Excellent. At a high level, Estella is a hybrid shatter DPS and Vuln stack generator who also offers fizz susceptibility. As such, she benefits from having a Vuln stack consumer and requires a way to proc solidification. This means Estella teams should be dual DPS, since Vuln consumption is inherently offensive. Her battle skill is an unremarkable Ice Lance that does poor damage and inflicts ice. In the absence of other options, this is a last resort to solidify on Estella teams. Combo skill is the key to Estella's kit. It triggers when solidification is applied. If it hits a solidified enemy, it does massive damage, applies lift, which consumes solidification for even more damage, and applies fizz susceptibility. This is probably one of the most powerful combo skills in the game. Finally, Estella's ult is a straightforward nuke, but additionally applies lift on enemies with fizz susceptibility, which implies that it's meant to follow her combo skill. That's basically the whole kit. Let's go over the team core that I used in these trim runs. Alesh is our primary source of solidification. He can also provide an attack buff when he catches rare fins. I don't want to turn this into a Alesh guide, so to keep it short, there are Ult Gain Efficiency breakpoints that allow Alesh to ult once per combo skill with merely 250 SP spent, one combo, one big talent proc, and one small talent proc. This is huge because it means Alesh fulfills the solidification condition at the trivial cost of between 58 to 35 SP per cycle, depending on masteries and having his pot 1. If you have pot 4 Alesh, you can hit the UGE breakpoints without Fort Maker, which allows Alesh to hold Thermite Cutter for even more buffs. Endmin is the Vuln consumer of choice. By delaying their combo skill casts by at least 3 seconds after Alesh's solidification, we can trigger Alesh's talent twice per rotation. Their attack buff also has extremely high uptime and helps Estella out too. The last slot can be filled by various support options, but I have chosen Ardelia in single target and Gilberta when grouping is needed. Let's jump into the trim runs. Rhodagn, being a single target boss fight without many mechanics, is a great target dummy for demonstrating the standard rotation, fitting that he comes first. We open with the final strike for Ardelia into Alesh ult skill. Let Ardelia do her combo into battle skill, ult to activate stanza of the memorial, then dump first. Remember that 3 seconds need to elapse between solidification and using Endmin's combo. Crush within the original crystal and Estella's fizz susceptibility window. Sometimes boss fights will cause your Alesh ult rotations to desync. The fallback plan is usually to replace his ult with Estella's skill instead, but if your flex slot applies arts like Gilberta, you can also just use that. Onto the Triaggelos. Gilberta is here to speed up the ad phase. When fighting single target, Gilberta doesn't need to spend SP, which means this SP can be used by Endmin to apply an initial stack of Vuln. Extra SP can also be used by Estella to solidify off of Gilberta's infliction, then shattered by Endmin for bonus damage, which is much stronger than a single Vuln stack. The rotations of this team are gated by Estella's combo, so try to keep that rolling.
Your end awaits. Enjoy your snack.
I'm showing my gear once here because I ended up adding some levels before the marble trim run.
Could you stand a little further, Professor? I don't want to hurt you by accident.
Empty wallet. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah.
Marble Agglomerai's first phase was interesting to optimize. It's a little too slow to use the full burst on every tentacle, so I tried to find a rotation that would let me kill at least one without it.
Don't go too far, Mr. Dolly!
In Phase 2, the only particularly notable thing is dumping extra SP by placing an Endmin skill before solidification. I should have used Ardelia ult before these big hits. And here I ruined a rotation by desyncing Endmin's combo skill. Honestly, it really sucks when this happens, and it's kind of just a consequence of drifting the 3-second delay. This run, I opted to fix it by just dropping it.
Enjoy your stay. Have fun being the best.
I failed to kill the boss before the jump phase, but your trim run isn't over if you see this. I'm not even good enough to jump over the shockwave, apparently. Fortunately, Endmin doesn't have to be up to start the combo. It's worth noting that Estella ult is near instant if you need to finish something off ASAP.
A path for us.
Let's go over gear. Estella's best weapon in this comp is her SIG, OBJ Razorhorn. No notes, you get it for free, just use it. Her gear sets are pretty sus though. Type 50 Yinglung Radar provides a ton of useful damage percent, and since her damage is heavily loaded into her combo skill, it works pretty well. Unfortunately, Will Strength is a nearly non-existent stat combo, which just handicaps Estella for no good reason. Fortunately, these Lynx gloves do match, and in fact, the ultimate gain efficiency allows Estella to ult every 2 rotations instead of every 3, which is very strong. It's possible that Lynx Lab is strong enough to outpace Yinglung. I doubt it, but it could be worth testing. Finally, Estella's combo skill is a candidate for masteries, especially in this team where SP isn't an issue and her combo skill is actually the limiter on how fast we can do rotations. However, truth be told, it's definitely not required. As you can see, the state of my operator and weapon levels as well as essence etching and gear artificing still leaves quite a bit of power on the table. Also, I still make mistakes basically non-stop in my play and I can still trim these bosses. I encourage you to give Estella a shot, or if you're an Estella player to give this team and this Alesh tech a shot.